Hey guys, thanks for joining me for episode 12 of Buy Black Podcast. Today, we're going to be doing a rebroadcast of our very first episode that I recorded with Daniel Abaraha. He is the founder and CEO of Vita Shoes Company. The reason we're going to be doing a rebroadcast today is that Daniel is actually kicking off over the next 2 weeks, starting today, his La Vida Ibea Drive, which we talked about a little bit during the show, but it's a collaboration between his company and several college organizations in order to raise funds and support a youth shelter named Casa Libre. When I saw Daniel go live earlier today on Facebook promoting the kickoff of this initiative, I knew that I wanted to do whatever I could to help him connect with more people and make this drive a success. So what we're going to do to start this show off is I'm going to play the audio from Daniel's live video that he put out a little bit earlier today announcing the kickoff. And the long and short of it is that they are looking to sell at least 50 pairs of his Vita shoes over the next 2 weeks, over the next 15 days. And normally, whenever someone buys a pair of his shoes, 10% of the retail price of that pair of shoes goes towards his community projects. But during this drive, if they reach their 50 pair of shoes, they're going to donate $1,000 directly towards the project for Casa Libre. So I want you guys to listen to this episode. I want you to learn what Daniel is about, what Vita Shoes is about, and most importantly, what I want from you is to go to his website. That is vitashoesco.com, vitashoesco.com. See what his shoes are about. See what this project and this drive is about, and then buy a pair of shoes from Daniel. I told you when we first started this podcast, it's not about patting ourselves on the back. It's not about theory. It's about action. Right now, today, you got a great black-owned business that not only makes a quality product, but is also giving back to the community, and they need us to jump in and provide support immediately. So that's what I want from you guys. Visit Daniel's website, check out his product, find a product that you like and buy it from him. Do it within the next 2 weeks and help them with this drive. So with that out of the way, I'm going to kick off the audio from Daniel's Facebook Live video from earlier today, and then we're going to rebroadcast the entire first episode, which tells you everything that you'll want to know about this amazing guy, his journey, and his company. You don't want to miss it.
What's going on, guys? Wow, welcome to the first live stream video from Vita Shoes. If you're catching this live, wow, that's awesome. But if you're catching it later on, that's cool too. I'm not mad at you. At any rate, for many of those who don't know who I am, my name is Daniel Abaraha, and I'm the founder of Vita Shoes. And the reason why I'm going live right now is because today marks the start of our La Vida Ibea Drive, which is Vita Shoes collaborating with a few different college organizations. I'm going to shout them out real quick. That's the Lambda Upsilon Lambda Brothers from Cornell University, the University Leadership Initiative from UT Austin, as well as the Ideas Organization from UCLA, and the Undocumented Student Program from UCLA. And together, what we're going to be doing is we're going to try and get as many of you to get some Vita sneakers throughout the next couple of weeks. I think 15 days to be exact. So, but yeah, that's the special thing though about the next couple of weeks is we're going to, instead of giving the typical 10% of the retail price of every shoe that we sell, we're going to actually be giving a little more. In fact, we have a goal for 50 pairs shoes sold throughout the duration of this drive, and from which we'll be taking $1,000 immediately and giving that or putting that towards the service project that we do with Casa Libre. And so yeah, that's basically it. We're also we'll be compounding that $1,000 or however many that we raise with the additional $400 that we've raised since the conclusion of our previous service project. And so that's a potential $1,400 that could be going towards this service project with Casa Libre, and that's just exciting. And that's basically the premise of this drive. So, yeah, that's really it. you should keep up with our social media. We're going to be having some great content go on our Facebook, our Twitter, and Instagram. So keep up with that. We have a hashtag going on. That's hashtag Bella Drive. That's BELLADRIVE. And that's one word. So keep up with that. Like I said, great content coming from there. But yeah, if you guys are seriously considering and you haven't gotten a pair yet, now is the perfect time to do so. Highly encourage you to check out what we got going as far as the service project and as far as Casa Libre in general and the amazing work that they do. They're a great center, helping some amazing kids that are well deserved. But anyways, yeah, not to take too much of your time. I hope this wasn't too bad, by the way, encroach too bad in your Sunday afternoons. But either way, I'm glad you're able to tune in, like I said. And yeah, y'all really appreciate all the support we've had thus far, and only hope that you can continue with me on this journey moving forward. Either way, thanks again. Y'all have great Sundays. Much love.
I don't remember like a time that we weren't giving to the homeless shelters and packing lunches and serving dinners and, you know, waking up in those mornings on Saturday mornings just to give those breakfasts to those guys in Dallas. That was a huge part of my growing up in our household. And it was the whole premise of what my mom said. My mom always said, why are you ever complaining when you haven't walked in somebody else's, ironically enough, somebody else's shoes? You don't know what the next guy's talking about. So you've got to make sure that you're doing your best and make sure that you are not only improving your life, but also looking out for the people around you.
Buy Black Podcast, Episode 1. Selling casual sneakers while giving back to homeless communities. Welcome to Buy Black, the only podcast dedicated to helping you find, connect with, and support Black-owned businesses. We're on a mission to bring consumers and business owners together to ignite the global Black economy. I'm your host, Gerald Jones, and if you're a Black business owner or a socially conscious consumer, you've joined the right community. Ready? Let's get to work. Hey guys, I wanted to give you a quick heads up. Early in the episode, you're going to hear me say that Vita Shoes sets aside 10% of its profits for projects supporting underprivileged and homeless communities. This isn't accurate. In actuality, it's 10% of the retail price of every pair of shoes sold. Now, Daniel graciously corrects me later in the conversation, but I wanted you all to start with a clear understanding of just how dedicated this company is to serving the community. Now that we've got that straight, let's get to the show. I'm joined today by Daniel Abaraha, the founder and CEO of Vita Shoes, a socially conscious sneaker company focused on making high-quality, affordable shoes while giving back to underprivileged communities. To date, his company has raised over $1,300 for charitable projects, but his work has only just begun. Daniel, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe, for having me.
All right. I really appreciate you taking the time out with us. And I want to get started just by asking you a little bit about yourself, your background. You've got an incredible story, and I know the folks would love to hear it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, where do I start? My name's Daniel Barra, as you said earlier. I'm a Nigerian born. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, and I moved to Texas, Dallas, Texas, when I was very, very young, when I was like 10 months old. Didn't grow up with a lot. Very, very, very modest background. Didn't have much. So what does every person that doesn't have much do? They draw shoes, I guess. So I started drawing shoes when I was very young. In fact, if you ask my parents, they might tell you that I started drawing before I could write, which that could be true. I don't know. Yeah, I started drawing shoes because I couldn't afford great shoes. My parents could afford what they could afford. I drew like the Nikes and the Jordans that all of my friends had because I loved them. They looked so, so cool, despite of the fact that I didn't have them. Later on, I would attain these shoes, but even then, I still just was like infatuated with how these shoes looked and the design, so much that I started getting into designing them and figuring out what they were made of. So as time grew on, I started to figure that. I started to just get curious and research some more. I didn't have internet even. It was that bad. I didn't even have internet growing when I was a kid. So when we finally got internet, when I was like in middle school, kind of like 6th grade-ish, I got to like finally research and figure out what these shoes were made of and all of that. I did that, and I got through middle school, and I got this idea that like, yo, and some friends even probed this, were just like, hey, you should you should make your own company. And I was like, really? That all culminated into me actually going like, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. I want to do that. I really, really do. I'm so passionate about these shoes. I want to do it. I had a great support. My parents were very, very, very supportive, even then, as they are so much now. My whole premise of making a company was to make really cool looking shoes as I designed them, because they're mine. I already deemed that they were cool. Cool looking shoes that were affordable for people and kids and just people like me that grew up with not having a lot. Especially I worked at a shoe store for 2.5, 3 years. And I remember seeing, you know, people that would have to shop on a clearance rack, or people that would have to put shoes back. I totally related to that. It was exactly how I felt when I was a kid. Beyond that, as I got to college, I realized, hey, I wanted to make it an extension of myself. I had a mentor tell me that that the brand, if I wanted to create it, couldn't just be that base level. It needed to have something more. Everybody wants to go for, you know, the affordable. So you had to have something more. So, I looked into myself, and I looked into what I thought could represent me more. So I figured, how about I use a very strong piece about myself that I'd love to express through this other passion, which was community service. Despite our modest backgrounds, we were very much involved in giving back. Whether it was my dad volunteered at, you know, preaching at jails sometimes, and we went to different mission trips as growing up, all throughout growing up. I don't remember like a time that we weren't giving to the homeless shelters and packing lunches and serving dinners and, you know, waking up in those mornings on Saturday mornings just to give those breakfasts to those guys in Dallas. That was a huge part of my growing up in our household. And it was the whole premise of what my mom said. My mom always said, why are you ever complaining when you haven't walked in ironically enough, somebody else's shoes? You don't know what the next guy's talking about. So you've got to make sure that you're doing your best and make sure that you are not only improving your life, but also looking out for the people around you. That was the mantra that went along in our household. And it inspired me to make this a part of Vita.
You said that you spent a lot of time serving in the community, but you also went on mission trips. So
right.
What was the most memorable one that you went on, and what was the most memorable experience that you have growing up and going out in the world and serving other people?
Most of our mission trips that we took were based around the after like disaster struck type of place. So the biggest one that I remember, and the one that I really liked going to, was the one in Port Arthur, Texas. And they felt a lot of the effects of Hurricane Rita, which if those people who don't remember what Hurricane Rita was, it was actually the hurricane right after Hurricane Katrina. And they still felt effects from that too. But Port Arthur is a very, 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 very small town. And there are those people out there who didn't have the strongest houses, and those houses got blown away. So they had to have a lot of help. So I went with my church it was like a few years consecutively. We went down there and we're just trying to help out in any way possible that we can. So we would just go around the community, and the stories we'd hear from these families that come out and talk to us as we work. I remember I was just working on like a ramp. I was working on a ramp with like my brother and then like some other adults from my church, and just the guys that came out and like were serving us lemonade, and just the gratefulness and how appreciative they were of just doing that ramp, because one of the members in their family were disabled. We were getting them ramp for them. I don't think they had one before, and we were doing that. You know, when this family couldn't afford it, they couldn't even think about getting a ramp. They were just thinking about trying to restore the rest of their house, trying to paint the rest of their house. Here we are helping this one person in their family that needed it a lot. That's just been something amazing that I'm glad I've been able to do. I've been very fortunate to be able to hear a lot of these stories and to be in those settings to help people. I think that's what I've got to be doing. I feel like it, as much as, you know, I'm working and I'm still working and I'm at Cornell and, you know, we're studying to get a job or whatever. I still feel deep down somewhere that I'm like, I'm supposed to be helping people somehow. And I've got to be directly helping people somehow. And I'm glad I'm able to do that through Vita.
you talked a second ago about being at Cornell. So for anybody in the audience who does not know, Cornell University is one of the Ivy League schools. It is up in Ithaca, New York, way up north.
Yeah.
Surrounded by a bunch of farms. And but it's one of those exclusive schools that is really, really hard to get into. And so here we've got, you, Daniel, you came from what you call a modest background. What was it that made you seek out Cornell University and the major program that you're in? And how has it been juggling that Ivy League schedule with running your company?
Yeah, that's quite the question. And it's something I get all the time. So definitely you're not the first person. But I've been in Texas, first of all, even though, like I said earlier, I was born in Nigeria. I mean, 10 months to like 20. I've been in Texas all my life. And because my parents couldn't afford a lot, we didn't travel a lot. If anything, we traveled within the state. Like we went to Houston a lot, or we would go to San Antonio sometimes, and maybe around the South. But I never. It's a lot of country out there. It's a lot of the beauty in the nation that I had never seen, simply because we couldn't afford to get out there. And being in school, I always wanted a challenge, and I excelled in high school. So I decided, what's the next one? What's the next challenge? So it's funny, actually. I wanted to do this company for a very long time, throughout freshman year of high school and throughout that. I made a decision, though, my sophomore year. After my freshman year, I didn't feel like I was working up to my potential. So my sophomore year, and I said, I'm gonna kick it up a year. I'm gonna kick it up a year in high school and see if I can actually get into those Ivy League schools and get into those really high ranked schools. Cause I think I can. I think I'm pretty good. After I made that decision sophomore year, I kicked it up a notch. I was kind of relentless in my studies. And, senior year, I get accepted into Cornell University. And, one of greatest moments for me. I was very, very, very fortunate and blessed to receive that, and have been so far, fortunate to be going here and, being a bit successful at Cornell for the past 3 years. But I just wanted a challenge, really, is why I looked at Cornell. And so balancing the company with Cornell, like I said, it's a very, very manageable at this point. $1,300. You made it sound great, but it's not amazing yet. For the grandiose plans that I have, it's nothing in my head. I can't even believe it. When you asked me that, and I had to recount, like, oh yeah, it's up to 1,300. I didn't even realize it, because I didn't even think we were going, we had done much. I still just want to do so much for this shelter and for the ideas that I have next. I still want to do so much, that I don't think it's enough. But yeah, it's been very manageable. Vita has been very manageable. So I haven't had to deviate so much from studying and running this company. I've been definitely able to handle both of them. It's prioritized, and time management that, I've been able to learn. And I'm very, very gracious that I've been able to learn that with this company, because I don't know where else I would have done it. I've been still waking up at hoping I didn't get morning classes and trying to wake up at 10 a.m. every morning.
Oh man, I know how you feel on that. When I was in college the first time, at the time when I was supposed to go to college right out of high school, man, I scheduled my classes. I think the earliest one for 11, and I'd try to take 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I'd even take evening classes, because being in a classroom again at 8 o'clock in the morning after just getting out of high school, I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
If you give me a class I can take at 4 in the afternoon, I'm taking a class at 4 in the afternoon.
Exactly. It's funny because our high schools our high school started at 7. They started at 7:30. So I should have been used to waking up at 8, but I knew myself. I knew it. I was like, I hated waking up at 7:30. So I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And this past semester, it was bad. I only took a class. My earliest class was like 11 something. And it was great. It was beautiful, but it's horrible, especially having to wake up for work in the summer during this internship. But it's manageable. It's definitely still manageable. I'm learning. And of course, as I always am, I'm always learning, but, get through it, right? You get through it because we're professionals and we're, maturing and growing as people.
Let's go a little bit more in depth on Vita shoes. You've already applied the lion's share of what you raised to a project that you did with the Austin Street Center, and that was your first project. And now you've moved on and you're actually working with Casa Libre in Los Angeles. So what we haven't mentioned yet is the way that this money is going towards these projects is whenever Vita sells a pair of shoes, 10% of the profits are being put aside in order to go towards these projects, which is a little bit of a different setup than a lot of your other companies that have that social aspect. It's not a matter of we're going to go donate cash and hopefully it goes towards something. You guys are holding on to the money and then you're actually finding a project and you're putting your time and effort and energy into that project. So you know that every single dollar is making a difference in somebody's life. And I think that's amazing.
You summed it up. I couldn't have said that any better. So when I was starting this and in high school and in college, I was looking at a lot of these places and I thought it was very honorable the way that people decided to do that with their companies. But to me, I didn't really see how much it was really, really great for that place. And I don't mean to bash on any company, and in fact, I won't. But like, yo, you're giving like a pair of shoes to a place after buying some. Yeah, I mean, it's great. I think that's great. But what about what that place really needed? What did that, one community, what did that one village, wherever you're going to try and do good, what do they need? And it's not just what do they need, it's what can you help them with that can help them grow. So that takes a little bit more, like you said, time and effort and talking with these community leaders. What do you guys really need?
So talk to me real quick about how you applied that philosophy to your project with Casa Libre.
With Casa Libre, I'm very excited because not only were we just talking about doing a sneaker show for them, putting them on in like a little art show type event where a lot of the community members can come and see what they've designed and how they designed it. But also past that, Vita's sponsoring a mentoring program with the shelter because he kept mentioning how much a lot of these people love to come in and drop some money and leave. And, it's great. It's great that they keep on being able to maintain this facility and maintain this house for these kids. But, where's the role models? Where's the people they can look up to? So I got to thinking, I was like, how can I, meet that need? I wanted to see what type of project could last more than just a day or more than just like a few months. I wanted to try and see if we could, build a bond that was very, very strong and that was going to last a long time.
Focusing in on your product. So far you've released the Vita 1s and now you're in the process of releasing the Vita 2s over this summer. Talk to us a little bit about the Vita 1 shoe and then the Vita 2s, which I've ordered a couple of pair of those. I really like that new kind of more of a mesh look, a lighter look shoe than the first one. But now that I've seen some people wearing the Vita 1s, I'm thinking about going back and getting a pair of those too, man. They all look so good.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk about the first shoes and then also the Vita 2s, the difference and any promotions you got going on with those, because I know you got a lot going on the website.
Yeah, definitely. With the Vita 1s, I'll start with that. At this time, I actually had another collaborator as far as somebody who was helping me with the business side of things and with ideas. So it was after the first semester of college, and I was like, you know what? Let's go for Vita. Let's do it. Let's do it again. And my friend was like, really? Are we doing this? And I was like, yeah. So I get some designs concocted, and we find some manufacturers. We actually had to go through a few manufacturers. It was not just the first one. It was like the third or maybe the fourth one that I went to that finally did it the right way. And we went through a few designs. I remember we did the first prototype and I was like, oh my God, we can't sell this. This is so bad. It was money. Of course, it was expenses that we had to incur, but that's those starting expenses that you do at the beginning of the business that happens. So we went through that summer. And then by the end of the summer, I finally just went a little bit more simplistic. As you can see with the Vitas, they're very simplistic. And I was drawing on influences from different shoes and sneakers and silhouettes that I really enjoyed growing up and that I really enjoyed seeing from other people. And the Vita 1 was born. It's a very simple design. I wanted it to be kind of sleek and not really much to it. And as you can see, the three most popular colors I would say in sneaker design is red, blue, and black. Those are the colors that they are available in. I really was thinking about how other people could fit it with their wardrobe, and at the same time, just like something that they feel great about wearing, and it draws an eye. You know, you have that big Ankh symbol going right through the middle of it. So it draws an eye like, oh, that's not a check mark. Those aren't 3 stripes. What is that? And you could start a conversation perhaps.
Yeah. Talk to us about that symbol.
Sure.
What made you select that symbol as your logo?
Yeah. So the Ankh, it's a African hieroglyphic. So when I was in middle school and my friends had hyped me up and I had convinced myself that I wanted to do this brand. I wanted to call it Life Shoes. And I had started making designs that were associated and affiliated with this brand called Life. I got to 8th grade and I thought the word life was lame. And I said, I can't make a brand called Life Shoes. That's lame and these shoes are cool. So I was studying Latin at the time and I saw that the word for life was Vita. So I said, hey, why don't we just translate it? I know there's some other companies actually out there that are called, like Dolce Vita is like very popular shoe company for women. I think it's mainly a women's shoe, but I knew it was out there. So I was like, hey, some other people have done it before. Why don't we just call it Vita shoes? I got that translation. I thought it flowed very nicely, but because it was in Latin, I wanted the actual symbol and what people saw to be representative of me. And I'm African, like I said. So I went and searched for different symbols in Africa that meant life. And I stumbled across this hieroglyphic that was translated to mean breath of life or life in short. So I went and got that symbol, tweaked it a little to how I wanted it to show. And lo and behold, we have the Vita symbol now. That's essentially how it came up. I wanted to kind of represent Africa and represent me and my culture. I'm really proud of that. And I'm super happy that I'm able to do that with these shoes.
Well, you created something that, it's simple, it's beautiful, it's elegant. And the more that I look at the shoes, the more uses I can see for those shoes. Talk to us real quick about the Vita 2. So those are coming out now. They're a little bit, more athletic looking, than the casual Vita 1s. But talk to us about that launch, and any promotions that you've got going on with your 1s and 2s right now.
The feedback from the Vita 1s, first of all, people thought they looked great, which I was very happy about. But there were definitely people that were thinking, hey, you've done so much good with the profits of these shoes. How about within the production methods? How about providing the benefits within the full life cycle of the shoes? I was talking to definitely a lot of people about that, getting into now sustainable materials and figuring out, okay, how do we make a shoe that is still affordable, but also with these materials? Because when we look around and we see the materials for shoes aren't that expensive, especially even if you're going to say that we wanted to recycle them. People are recycling things for years to where I know that it's not going to be crazy to do that. So I wanted to make something, at least for this start, a recycled pair of shoes. And in general, I wanted to shift the direction of the company towards making a sustainable sneaker. I mean, there's actually a company who does that and they're beautiful. They're great. I'm going to shout them out. They're called Vita. They're amazing. They do this. And right now they're like my idol. They're who I look up to as far as making a sustainable product, because they've done an amazing job. And
have you got the URL for their website?
I just know it's like Vita. It's V is like Velcro, EJA. And they're incredible. The only thing is they're overseas. I don't know about shipping costs. That probably doesn't matter that much.
We'll get their link in the show notes for this episode.
Yeah. I know. I'm just I'm letting my own competition out. But hey, I mean, the more good, the better, right?
Absolutely.
But either way, they were able to do it, and they were able to sell a lot of shoes. The thing though that I noticed is that, like I said earlier, is they're kind of pricey. They're kind of up there. So I wanted to at least start. If we were going to do this, we could start here. This is going to be our start. This is going to be the start and the shift towards this goal of making the sustainable sneakers similar to Veja, similar to other people that have been doing the same thing. But I wanted to start here and the goal is to make an affordable, sustainable sneaker and be as sustainable as we can. And there's a lot. I'm in the talks with different people about how to make it even better than we have. But let me get to the Vita 2s. The Vita 2s are made out of mainly recycled materials, everything from the mesh to the leather down to the insoles. So there's very little waste going on. at the factory that I'm using now. Yeah, we've been able to do that and create this beautiful looking shoe. It's funny how you mentioned that it was more athletic looking, because people have said it is more casual, but I was like, and I wanted it to be a little more casual, but it's to each his own. At the end of the day, this still is an art, so it's very subjective. You know, it varies by opinion. So either way, I'm glad you're getting to indulge and be a part of wearing the sneakers as well. But yeah, that's why I wanted to go with the Vita 2s. The Vita 2s is the start of the shift for Vita towards that sustainable product.
It is awesome. I look at a lot more mesh on the shoe, and I'm seeing, you know, something that I might be a little bit more comfortable running in those. Whereas those Vita ones, right. I'd wear with a set of jeans or even my casual shorts.
Yeah.
But my style is old man style though. So, you know, what other people see as casual, I'm looking at it and saying, look, these jeans don't come up to my belly button yet, so I can't wear them. So yeah, don't take my advice when it comes to what is casual and what's athletic.
That's no problem.
But I want to go back. You talked about crowdsourcing. And so I saw that your earliest fundraising effort to get the Vita ones off the line, you went through a site called Indiegogo. So we know about different crowdsourcing platforms out there like GoFundMe and Kickstarter. Indiegogo, I think I may have heard of before, but I don't really know much about it. So how did that process go? How did you do that first fundraising effort?
I went through each one of those sites that you mentioned, Kickstarter, GoFundMe, and I felt Indiegogo was more appropriate for us because it had so many options, like I said, and two, it was with Indiegogo, and I think Kickstarter does this too. I just haven't been on it in a while. They have a lot of focus on goals that are or causes. And there are causes out there. They're a great product. They're just like products that do good on their website. And I felt like even though we're a business, you're, you know, giving to the start of a business, you're still, you know, doing some good with the sneakers, kind of funding this company and funding its beginning. So Indiegogo felt right. It felt appropriate for Vita to be affiliated with. And it takes research. It does. That's to anybody out there who's willing to go and start this. It takes research. Do know what you're getting yourself into. Do know the fees that they do take, because it isn't, even though you raise $7,000 or you raise $10,000, and it shows that they do take a fee. They have to operate Indiegogo, Kickstarter, GoFundMe. They have to operate as a business as well. So you have to be mindful of that. You have to be mindful of how much money then you really need past their fees and whatever and so forth.
Can you talk to us about some of those details? Like what does it take, or what did it take for you to, you know, what's the process? You go to the website, you sign up, you get started.
Yeah.
How do you do that process? How do you decide, you know, what the giveaway is going to be for the donations? What's the actual fees, if you can get into those things? Like if somebody was today saying, "Hey, I need to fund my project," how would they go about doing that through Indiegogo?
First of all, this is where I've had the fortune of being at Cornell and being around people who've had to do something similar. So whenever I saw different people doing it, I just asked. I just went through and I was asking different people, and they helped me with, okay, one, putting the right displays up. So it's one thing to just provide a link on Facebook or share the link through a text message with your friends, and it's another thing to actually put, you know, pictures to words and showing just a more aesthetically pleasing way of why people should be funding your project. And, you know, even passing it to family and friends and giving them that picture, giving them that image just allows people to be, oh my, okay, cool. Wow, this is what you're doing. This is amazing. When it came down to the giveaways and the different things that we would give away, that was just me thinking as well as other people helping. I can't neglect that. There are other people that help with just some ideas that I could give away. They're like, hey, I mean, why don't you just do, you know, basic one is a shirt. And so I did a long sleeve. It was in the winter, so I did a long sleeve, even though when we got the shirts out, it was the summer, which is kind of funny. But after that, we did stickers, laptop stickers, which is a great idea. So just little things that you can afford to give away. They're not like, you're not giving away like tons of shoes or stuff like that. You know, you're giving away things that just aren't a part of your product, but things that you know, display your product that people will have around them. And I felt like a popular one was the laptop sticker, because everybody, especially us younger people, tend to be putting those things on our different devices. And that's another way that, oh, wow, what's that? What's that symbol? What's that logo? Maybe it's a conversation starter, something like that idea. I've heard wristbands were great. I've heard hats were great. Shirts are always a great one. So just thinking of those little things that that aren't necessarily a product that you can use otherwise. And then do give away your product though. Definitely like get an opportunity for people to get your product. I was able to do that with a few of the larger people who were going to give a larger amount of donations. So we had some cool stuff.
How long did you have the campaign going, and how much were you able to raise over the course of that campaign?
I think it was 40 days. 40 days, I believe. It's typically 30. In fact, the website I think advises you to do 30 so that you can just try and stuff as many people as you can within that time period. It was Christmas and it was Thanksgiving too, so it started like a week or two before Thanksgiving. So I gave people time, and we did 40 days, and we raised over $6,800, and the goal was $7,000. So wow. Yeah, I felt about a couple of hundred short. Yeah, broke my heart a little bit, but then family and friends afterwards.
Man, I think you got this expectation standard that is so high, and that is incredible to me. I want to break in real quick and talk for a second about that, because a few times in this conversation, you've talked about how, oh, I didn't do this. Oh, this was menial, this and the other. Man, there's one thing to have a perfectionist standard and not do anything, to say, oh, well, if it can't be perfect, I'm not going to do it. But I feel like listening to you that you set your expectations at the stars and then you get to the moon and you're like, man, that star was just a couple million more miles away. Why didn't I make it to the stars? Like, dude, you just took a trip to the moon, and now you're in between the moon and that next star, which I think is great. I think that is a great positive attitude that people can have when it comes to setting expectations, setting goals, is that, I'm not going to set my goals where I know that I'm going to attain them. I'm going to set those goals beyond what I think my reach is. And sometimes I'm going to get to them, and sometimes I'll fall a little short. But when you're saying, hey, I needed $7,000, man, I only got $6,800. Broke my heart. Like, dude, you're killing it. Don't be heartbroken. Yeah. Next time, you'll set it for 14,000 and you'll get 21,000. Who knows?
Who knows, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that there are a lot of people who would set those expectations, not meet them, and quit. You are setting these expectations, and wherever you get close to that, you're taking where you ended up, and then you're going to the next level with it every time, which is, that's admirable. You're talking about being a mentor and teaching people. That's one aspect of your personality that I think a lot of young people can learn from and gain from being around. Yes, shoot for the stars. Yes, understand that sometimes you won't reach exactly what your goal was, but when you get close, look at the lesson you learned and then keep going. Go to the next one. So I love that you're setting yourself up for great things, and then you're still hungry. Even when you get right there next to it, you're like, no, that wasn't enough. And it's a hunger that's driven to help other people. Yeah. Not, I got to make more dollars for me. It's like, I got to do more for other people. It's incredible, man.
Thank you. That's the thing that people do know it is like, I don't make a lot of money from this. I've put in a lot of money. I've been able to pay myself back with the investments that I made somewhat, but it's paying myself back. It's not giving me an extra income, another stream of income. So my mom always has great gems that I very underrate at the time, and then look back to and be like, wow, that's great. She always says, God has put you in a position for a reason. Why not go for the next level? Look, if you've gotten this far, God, the universe, karma, whatever you believe in, it's going to be with you going even farther beyond that. A lot of people that are close to me will tell you I'm my hardest critic. But that belief in my head that I can just keep improving and keep going has been what drives me. It's what's driven me to be the person I am today and to the places that I've gone to so far.
Yeah, but it works, man. And with that attitude, you're definitely, it's only a matter of time until this does become something that is more profitable. And there's nothing wrong with being profitable, especially when you're giving back to the community. The people act like profit is a dirty word, but guess what? If there's no profits, that means there's nothing extra. People associate revenue with profits. I could have $1 million in revenue, but if my expenses are 1.1 million, I have zero profits. I have nothing to give back. So if I'm making a profit, guess what? I can use the extra money from this business to help more people. So you will be there where you're able to pocket some money for yourself and take care of you and your family and still give back. That 10% that you're giving will be even greater. And I know that's in your future. What's the biggest lesson that you learned in starting this company that you think somebody else could benefit from learning vicariously through you?
When I started this company, I wanted to keep it low key. So I didn't want to, necessarily spoil it. So I wouldn't tell a lot of people. I remember one of my very close friends, she didn't know about it. Actually, my dad didn't really know about it until very, very late on. Probably freshman year of college. He didn't know how serious I was about it. What you have to know as an entrepreneur and with your idea or whatever you're going with, in life is that you have to know that people only are seeing it from you. I think an important thing that you told me before, Gerald, was people don't buy shoes necessarily, or at least people don't buy products from a company. People buy products from people. When we see that you are not only just like selling this product, you're offering it for a fee or whatever, but you're so passionate about it. You get to put on display this desire and this drive that you have in starting this company, but also about how excited you are. A lot of people in our generation and younger, they like to be cool. Like they like to be chill. They like to, that's a popular word in our vernacular now, right? Like chill, man. Just relax. What are you doing? Be low key. But when you're trying to get something going, a brand or an idea or a direction that you want to move with your, respective organization or group or whatever, and you're not displaying your true emotions, people aren't going to take you serious. They're not. Hey, if you're trying to start something for real, you want to actually get something done. You want to get something done in the real world that we live in. You've got to show people that you're about this. This is what you do. Give them that pitch. Be excited. Smile. I can definitely assure you that the way I presented it before in my freshman year of college to how I'm doing it now completely has changed. You ask me a question and I answer you in how I feel. I remember I was working out. And some guy just was like, yo, those are some nice shoes, man. Like, where are those? Where'd you get those from? He had no idea about Vita. He just was like, yo, those are some really, really dope shoes. And I was like, yeah, man, hey, it's my company. It's like, yo. And I broke out. I remember I ran to my wallet. I gave him the card. I was just talking to him about not only the fact that they look cool and that I designed them, but hey, this is like this brand that I'm starting, and I think it's pretty amazing, and I hope you do too, whatever. And just showing that excitement. He bought a shoe that day. He bought a shoe that evening. I've had multiple instances where that's happened. That is how you get people believing in you, because that's how you build a brand. People have to believe in you, and you can't get people to believe in you unless you show them how you really feel and how much you really believe. And especially in fashion. Fashion is one of the toughest things to start. That's why there's not a lot of fashion startups. It typically has to be somebody with a ton of connections or a ton of money. You see like a lot of superstars do it. Why? Because they have the money to do it, and they have the connections, and they can put it on Snapchat, and all of a sudden you're going to buy it. But it's one of the toughest spots. It's not an easy thing. So you really have to show people how you feel. And like you said, getting people to buy from the person, not just from the store.
You really convicted me with everything you just said there, because what you just described is the same process I had with starting this podcast. Mm-hmm. And you're 100% right. I kept it zero information to my friends and family, zero information to Facebook, because I was like, I've got this incredible thing. I don't think anybody's doing it. Research. No podcast out there like this. Wow. Yes. Research, business directories. Right. Yeah, there's some out there, but nobody's using them. Man, this could be huge, but I'm not telling anybody. Right. And then, I reached out to you, and I reached out to a few other people, business owners, and all of you got excited about it. I'm like, man, I might have something here. Didn't tell anybody. I didn't feel comfortable making it public until I had the first interview recorded and I had a logo that was, almost done. And I had, the website is on the way. I'm like, because exactly what you said. I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't want to look like I just start stuff and don't do it. I won't tell anybody. But I think you're 100% right, man. If you are passionate about it and you believe in it, you gotta be public with it.
It's not always going to be the best feedback all the time. It's just what happens. And nobody's always going to be fully supportive. I remember I still have somebody, it was like a friend of a friend. He said, you know what, man, that Ankh symbol is never going to go. He never thought it was going to be cool. He never thought it was going to be great looking on a shoe. He never thought it was going to sell. And I mean, he was just being real. He was being real. I mean, he wasn't that close of a friend to me, but he was being real. And I appreciated that. And people are going to say that. Like I said earlier, even though they're sneakers and they're a product, it's an art. It's subjective. It's going to be appreciated in different ways by different people.
Last questions over here. First, what's next for you? And what can the listening community for the Buy Black podcast do to help you make it happen?
What we did with the mentoring program that we're doing with Casa Libre is I got to connect with some college groups and some fraternities and sororities that we're thinking about doing some stuff with just some community service organizations on campus. For the company in general, though, I think that we're still looking to possibly release some new colorways of the shoes next year, hopefully. We're still going with these Vita 2s right now, looking to see how much we can do and how much we can do for Casa Libre. And I'm still on this project and focused on this project and trying to make this a success with the Casa Libre and the kids there. People that are listening to this podcast, I mean, you can definitely reach out to me.
What are those channels? How can people get in contact with you? Start website, then we'll talk social media and your email address.
So the website has a little contact tab on it and you can contact there. I'm quite responsive with emails. They come right on my phone. Social media, we have Instagram. It's Vita Shoes Co. That's VITA Shoes CO on Instagram. On Twitter, it's Vita_shoes. And on Facebook, you can just search up Vita Shoes Company and we're going to come up. Or nowadays, you can actually search up Vita Shoes and it comes up, which is really cool. I'm happy. We finally got that on there. So if you search up Vita Shoes, you'll probably see all of our social media on Google.
That is really cool too. You are number one on Google for Vita Shoes, even with Dolce Vita right there. So that is really cool.
I'm excited. That has got me pumped. One thing I forgot to mention was you had mentioned promotion, and I always get caught up in saying stuff that I forget to sell shoes too. But the promotions we have right now, so the community that's listening, you can definitely help out a lot by not only spreading the word about us and perhaps following us on those social media outlets, but you can also purchase a pair of shoes for yourself. We have a buy one, get one sale that's still going on throughout the entire summer. And it's if you buy a pair of Vita 2s, you pre-order a pair of Vita 2s, you get the next pair that you pre-order 25% off. So one Vita 2 is 50. You get the next one at, what is 25% off 50? It's 12. It's like $37, $37.50. A lot of people have taken advantage of that and it's a great deal. And then also, if you buy a pair of Vita 2s, you can also get a Vita 1 a half off. Like you get it for straight up $20, a Vita 1 for $20. And don't worry about the profits. You said 10% of the profits. It's actually 10% of the retail price. So $5 off of each Vita 1, $4 off of each Vita 2 sold gets accumulated into this fund that we use to create and develop these projects with these homeless shelters. So if you're out there listening, please do it. We might have a July 4th sale coming up. By the time you're listening to this, it might be already up. The code will be up on the website so you can look at that. We also have long sleeve shirts if you're interested in long sleeve shirts. I know it's the summer, but we also have those, and a portion of those profits, they also go towards supporting this project.
Hey man, you mentioned a few minutes ago that you forget that you got to sell shoes. So I'm going to help you out real quick. You didn't mention the website.
Yes, the website.
For everybody listening, it is www.vitashoesco.com. That's vitashooesco.com. And that is where you can find the Vita 1s, the Vita 2s, and the promotions that Daniel was just talking about.
Yes.
So before we get out of here, I always want to end the show with this question. In order for us to be able to buy black, there have got to be more men and women out there like you setting up successful businesses and giving us that opportunity. So I want to close with your number one piece of advice for other entrepreneurs or consumers in the Buy Black community going forward.
I think what's going to be the most important is not only, and I don't say this out of spite, but I say this out of like definite encouragement. It's one thing to just support by post or support by, you know, a Facebook post that may get to a few likes or may get to something. But actually, I mean, doing what Gerald did. Gerald, I mean, he bought a pair of shoes and I'm sure he's told his family about it. Like things that start at the home tend to grow outside of the home. It's one thing to like it. It's one thing to, you know, double tap it on Instagram, but it's another thing to actually support, you know, because that's how we're going to grow this movement. It's going to be one thing to just like publicize it and put it on Twitter. It's another thing to actually support. So don't just retweet. Don't just share. Go out and support, like for real. Put your money where your mouth is and do it for real.
Put your money where your mouth is. I'm right there with you. Well, hey man, I know we've been talking for a while, but I really appreciate you know, putting some things on hold, coming onto the show. I mean, we've had a couple of good conversations along the way, and there's a lawnmower outside of my window right now. Can you hear that?
A little bit. It shows how genuine this is.
My neighbor was just like, you know what? I have to go. I have to interrupt him right now. All right, sorry about that, but we've had some good conversations, and I'm glad that we were able to connect today to have this one. I know that we're going to stay connected going forward, and I want to keep supporting you in whatever way that I can. I want the community to support you in whatever way that we can, and we'll be reaching back out to find out, hey, how is Casa Libre going? And the next time that you have another project, you know, reach out to me, let me know, and we'll throw a little blurb and let everybody else know what's going on. All right, guys, there it is. Daniel Barha in his own words about Vita Shoes, his baby, his company, and his project that he's working right now for Casa Libre. Again, the La Vita Ibeya Drive starting today over the next 15 days. If you go to the website and you buy a pair of shoes, whether it's the Vita 1s or the Vita 2s from Daniel, it's going to go towards that 50 pair that they need in order to hit their goal for this project and donate $1,000 to Casa Libre. If you go to the website, to vitashoesco.com, there is a link that will get you to the information about the La Vita Ibeya Drive, as well as more information about Casa Libre, which is a great organization that Daniel's partnered up with in order to help these youth in Los Angeles. So do your Buy Black podcast duty. Go visit this site. Go support this Black-owned business, and let's help Daniel get over the top. Thanks for joining me again today. And once again, if you have a business or a project, or you know someone who could use this type of exposure, this type of marketing for their business, don't hesitate to email me, gjones@buyblackpodcast.com, or you can find me on any of the 3 major social media outlets at Buy Black Podcast. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just put me in at Buy Black Podcast and you'll connect with me. Hey, thanks again for joining me today, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you for being part of the Buy Black Podcast community. If you're enjoying the show, I'd appreciate reading your 5-star review in iTunes. Join us next time for another empowering episode.